Welcome to the second chapter read-along video of my personal Dragon Quest inspired story, Dragon Quest Phoenix. Last time on Dragon Quest Phoenix, our heroes were inside of the cave, defeating monsters when suddenly an earthquake shook everything. And we don't know what happened to them. Find out in this next chapter of Dragon Quest Phoenix right now. Do 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 bam bam boom bam 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 do 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 do. Chapter 2: The Vocation Situation. The cave shook vigorously, and it seemed like the ground itself was going to break apart. Even the ceiling was breaking apart, and after what seemed like minutes, the tremors finally ceased, and Martin pops his head up and looks around. He sees his father, and they both sigh a breath of relief, knowing that they're both okay. Martin yells, "That was crazy!" Martins replies, "Seriously!" Martins then thinks to himself, I wonder if the earthquake was caused naturally or it was caused by some sort of monster. Martin looks around the cave and yells, "Pa! Where the heck is Hielo?" Martin started looking around as well, but couldn't see him anywhere. Just then, as Martins and Martin stare at each other, some liquid starts falling from above them. They both notice it and they look up simultaneously and see that Hielo was holding onto the roof of the cave ceiling like a cat trying to escape getting wet, and that the liquid that was falling was just his drool. Both Martin and Martin start laughing out loud and rolling on the ground and making fun of Hielo. Hielo gets annoyed and gets down from the ceiling and is visibly annoyed and frustrated with both of them. After calming down a bit, Martins then says, "Well, that was a good laugh, but we better head back to the village. We need to make sure everyone is okay from that earthquake." Martin replies, "Right." Before following his father outside the cave, Martin noticed something in the back of the cave that caught his attention. He looks over and notices that there was an opening and asks, "Hey, Pa, has that opening always been there?" Martins looks over at the direction his son was pointing at and yells, "Whoa, Martin! That looks like an entrance to another cave." Martin replies, "No way! So this cave goes even deeper?" They both look at each other with extreme excitement and jump up and high-five each other. Martins then yells as they both run towards the new cave, "I bet you we'll find treasure in there or something." Martin giggles with excitement and Hielo sighs in discontent before catching up with them at the front of the new cave entrance. They all stare into the cave and notice that it was pitch black inside. And Martin says, "Okay, I better get my torch out. I'm betting there's monsters in there. Martin, have your sword ready. Who knows what we'll find?" Martin smiles a nervous smile and grabs his sword. And Hielo gets ready as well, just in case he needs to pounce or attack or something. Martins lights his torch and puts it in forward into the new cave and notices that it goes straight down. He then says, "All right, let's do this." Martin and Hielo confirm with a grunt and a growl, and they move forward. As they are walking through the cave slowly, Martin says, "Pa, I can't believe this cave has been here this whole time. What do you think we'll find?" Martins replies, "Who knows how long this cave has been sealed here, but I don't know. I hope it's something cool." The whole time they were walking downward, and eventually they made it to a part where the ground was even, and they could also feel like it was a bigger area because there was a slight echo. They continued walking with the utmost caution, and eventually Martin saw a slight glistening and said, "What is that?" They inch a bit closer and find a treasure chest. They both get super excited and rush over to it while exclaiming and yelling without a care in the world. Martin could hardly contain his excitement and went over to touch the chest, but before he could, his father stopped him, saying, "Wait, Martin!" Martin looks over at him with a curious look, and Martins continues. It's a little weird that this chest is here without any monsters around. Martin starts looking around and says, "Oh, I get it. So you think that there are monsters around us, waiting for us to open this treasure chest, and then when we're distracted, they'll jump out to attack us, huh?" Martins replies, "That is definitely a possibility, but I think it might be something else." Martin asks, "Like what?" Martins replies, "You see, there's a monster out there that it looks exactly like a treasure chest, and sometimes even like other objects like pots. I don't know if it hides inside of those objects or it transforms into them, but if people touch them or try to open them, they will attack you." Martin exclaimed in disbelief. "No way! Are you serious, Pa?" Martins replied, "Unfortunately, yes." Martin then said, "That's just evil. How are we supposed to know if this is one of those monsters or not? How am I going to feel confident opening up a treasure chest ever again after hearing this?" Martins replied, "Calm down, mijo. There is a way to identify these monsters before they attack you." Martin asks impatiently, "How?" Martins replied, "By attacking the object." Martin replied with a confused face and asked, "What the heck? Attacking it?" Martins replied, "Yes, it's that simple. The thing is, if you attack the chest or object and it really happens to be one of those monsters, then it will show itself and you can actually fight it without getting surprised." Martin then replied, "I see. Well, in that case, that means we just need to attack this treasure chest before opening it to make sure it's not one of those monsters, right?" Martins nodded and said, "All right, stand back. I'm going to strike the treasure chest now." Martin moves back a bit, and both he and Yellow look at the chest with anticipation. Martins raises his sword and hits the chest so hard that it makes a loud ringing sound that goes throughout the whole cave. After a couple of moments, Martins turns around and says, "All right, we're good." Martin rushes over, and he and his father get excited again about what could be inside of the chest. Martins finally opened it, and inside was a scroll. Martin saw it and was disappointed and said, "What the heck? It's just a piece of paper or something. That's so lame." Martins grabs the item and couldn't believe what he just found. He opens it and gasps. Martin yelled, "What? What happened? What does it say?" Martins replies, "Martin, this is not just some piece of paper. This is an incredibly rare scroll. The champion scroll." Martin asked, "What the heck is that?" Martins then replied, "It lets the reader of the scroll become the champion vocation." Martin then asked, "What the heck are you saying right now? Champion scroll? Champion vocation?" Martins replies, "That's right. I've never officially explained vocations to you and what they are, huh? Okay, listen up." Martin perked up his ears and was excited to listen. Martins continues, "So, one of the gifts that Betadra, the goddess, has bestowed upon humanity is the ability to learn spells and abilities through vocations by reading sacred scrolls. Anybody can open up a scroll and read it, but you don't receive the actual power or vocation of that scroll unless you are worthy to receive it. Even after receiving it, one needs to train themselves physically and mentally to master that vocation." Martin replied, "Whoa, that sounds awesome." He then asked, "So why is this specific scroll or vocation so special? Is the champion a super strong vocation or something?" Martins replied, "Great question, mijo. Let me explain. Vocations have a ranking system which ranges from basic vocations to intermediate vocations to finally advanced vocations. So, to put it simply, there are three different stages of vocations. There are four basic vocations to choose from once you've registered as an official adventurer through a guild. A warrior, a physically powerful vocation with high health and defense. A martial artist, an incredibly strong and fast fighter that focuses on speed and strength as opposed to defense. A mage, a powerful spellcaster that learns offensive spells and debuffs, and a priest or priestess, a support vocation with offensive spells but mostly learns healing and buffing spells. The second stage are the intermediate vocations, and there are six of them total: the gladiator, the paladin, the sage, the armamentalist, the knight, and the warlock. Each intermediate vocation is a combination of two different basic vocations, but can learn more powerful versions of spells and abilities. Finally, the third stage are the advanced vocations, and there are only two. They're the combination of three intermediate vocations mixed together that can again learn extremely powerful versions of spells and abilities. Now, to answer your question about if the champion vocation is super strong, the only advanced vocations that exist are the seer, which is a more magic-based vocation because it's a combination of sage, warlock, and armamentalist, and the champion, which is a more physical-based vocation because it's a combination of knight, paladin, and gladiator. Martin gasped and replied, "Wow! So we just found one of the strongest vocations in existence." Martins replies, "Yes, but there's no guarantee that the scroll will work for you. Sometimes certain scrolls don't work on specific people. The scroll somehow can tell if you would be a good mage or warrior, and the higher the vocation you're trying to get, the harder it is to get accepted or found worthy by the scroll itself." The crazy thing about all of this is that the natural and most common way of progressing through the vocation ranks, which take even the most skilled of adventurers years and years to achieve, is through starting with a basic vocation, mastering it, moving on to another, mastering it, and continuing the process through different vocations and stages until you reach the advanced vocation of your choosing. That process of progression, however, takes even the most skilled adventurers years upon years to achieve. But there's another way one can become an intermediate vocation or even an advanced vocation without starting and mastering basic vocations. That way would be if an adventurer or a lucky individual were to find an intermediate or advanced scroll. Martin's eyes went big and he gasped in disbelief and with much excitement because he understood how incredible the scroll they just found was. All right, everyone, that's it for today's episode of Dragon Quest Phoenix. If you would like to read the script or chapter on your own, head on over to my Patreon. Links in the description below. You can read it for free. If you enjoyed this video and the story, I would sincerely appreciate you liking this video and subscribing for more. Also, if you would like to support me a little bit more with this project, head on over to my Patreon and sign up to one of the membership tiers. If I can get enough funding, eventually I want to hire an artist to be able to draw my story out for everyone, and I have awesome ideas for creating a card game and other projects from my story. Thank you so much for watching and listening. Tune in next time for an exciting new episode of Dragon Quest Phoenix.